I was doing some rambling on our XJ here in one of my videos, and well, it turned into this whole big thing about why I like these XJs and why I don't like it. So I figured I'd throw it in its own video just for a couple minutes and see what happens. I do like the Jeep Cherokees. The thing about the Cherokees is they're kind of, they're a very original concept. They're one of the first unibody four-wheel drive vehicles, but they're kind of a unique combination because they have solid axles front and rear, but they have a unibody lightweight chassis, and they have an inline six engine which has gobs of torque, and they have the AW4 transmission, which is made by Toyota, the automatic, 4-speed automatic with overdrive. So the transmission is reliable. Another great selling point for the XJs, for me personally, is they have a separate engine control module and a separate transmission control module. The transmission control module on these, on 97 and up, I think, it's like on here somewhere, I don't know. And in 96 and earlier, it's, for the AW4, it's up under where the glove box would be, right there, but the glove box is higher in those. And another selling point for the XJs for me that I always liked was you have a lever for your four-wheel drive. It's a mechanical linkage. There's none of that electronic business. And of course, as far as XJs go, this one has built-in cup holders, even if they are the tiny ones. 96 and down, they don't have built-in cup holders unless you do special things to it. Well, some of them might, but as far as I know, most of them don't. Years ago, I have experience with a 96 that didn't, and well, it gets to be a pain after a while. They just had the instead of being offset, the e-brake lever was in the center and a kind of a dip in the console, and so there's nowhere to put your cup really. Lots of spillage occurs. And of course, another selling point with the XJs for me is you can fold this rear seat down flat, and it's actually flush. Once you fold that down, it's flush all the way up to the folded section there. And that is a selling point for me because you can slide more stuff in the back if you need to. And even though they're not great or recommended for towing, you do have the semblance of a unibody frame that you can bolt a trailer hitch to, which we have. So you can tow lightweight things, or especially, if you go out to the beach or something, you can put a cargo carrier in here, or in my case, I have a nice trailer hitch mounted winch I can slot in here if I need to, want to go off-roading or something. And selling point for me, but not for a lot of people, is it has a compact spare that doesn't take up much room, because this is a small vehicle. And if you need a full-size spare, you got a roof rack. Just slide it up there. Gas mileage doesn't matter in these anyway. Get a muffler. It was just driving through my shop there. Another selling point for me is the height. These are, well, the back has been raised a little bit in this one over stock, but compared to your modern cars that they pass off as SUVs, this has some nice height under it. The only low point is really the axles and the shock mounts and stuff, but you do have a lot of ground clearance. Even under the axles you still have a lot, but there's not a lot of stuff to snag, and you can get skid plates for the things that might snag. They have good approach and departure angles. You can kind of see the approach angle is really good on that. Even with the stock bumper, the departure angle is a little bit more, but it's still pretty good. Now, of course, the trailer hitch just completely ruins that departure angle, but that is optional, and you shouldn't be towing stuff anyway, so you shouldn't have a trailer hitch on your Jeep. Another selling point for me for these XJs is the aftermarket support and the modifications available, People love them. There's a lot of stuff out there for them. So it's easy to find parts. They aren't quite in the range of an old vehicle like the square body Suburbans or the El Caminos, where there's a huge aftermarket of reproduction parts, but it is easier to find parts for some things. And there are still these in junkyards, unlike the square bodies that are almost impossible to find in junkyards. So you can still get parts for them. Even though this engine is an older design, it's been modernized. You know, you have the serpentine belt system, and you have a more modern AC compressor and that kind of thing. But very important to me, because I work on vehicles, and I work on my own vehicles, everything's relatively easy to get to, especially compared with something like shoehorning a V8 in here, which some people do, but to each their own. But I prefer the inline six. You can get to everything. Even if you need to change the head gasket, you can still get to everything. It's not shoved back under the cowl, or it's hard to reach or anything like that. Even the wiring harness is accessible. There's not a whole lot that's like buried down behind the engine, wire-wise or anything like that. Everything is accessible, with the sole exception of the windshield washer fluid canister, which is back behind the fender. But if you have to service that, you got bigger problems. This particular XJ has the hood from the green 96 on it, because near as I can tell, the hood latches broke on the other one. From looking at it, the hood latches snapped or broke while it was operating or something, and the hood flew up, and that's why we have these dents in the cowl. And of course it shattered this, which I also replaced from the green 96. So hood latch is not great on these. I have seen that earlier ones have a center hood latch, and I'm almost certain that you can't modify it for that, but it would be nice if you could. Fuses. The fuses I don't particularly like. Fuses and relays, main fuses and relays are here. But the auxiliary fuses for some of the smaller things like the radio and things like that are just buried down under here. They're micro fuses, and they're just a pain to get to. So that I don't particularly like. It does have dual airbags, so it does have some modicum of safety. You know, it does have modern conveniences like air conditioning and things, and it has dual power outlets. You know, it has the power outlet here and the cigarette lighter over here, which this is a 96, but you get the idea. And they're kind of a smaller vehicle. They're not tremendously comfortable, but they get the job done. And one of the things that I always liked about these things that a lot of other people don't about the interior is that there's lots of hard plastics. Now you go to something like Motor Trend or something, and you know, they're kind of hoity-toity and highfalutin. They don't like hard plastics. They like, you know, leather and creamy, you know, surfaces and everything, that because they don't have to clean their own cars or anything, and you know, they never take their cars off-road, and they never use their cars for work or get them dirty, so they've never cleaned a car in their life. They don't know what it's like. So I like these smooth surfaces, the vinyl and plastic that's easy to clean and wipe down. And you know, like the Wranglers and things, some with rubber floors, you can just pull the drains out of the floor and hose them out. You know, these have floor drains too, which, you know, a lot of people take the carpet out of these things when they turn them into off-roaders, and you can just pull the floor drains and hose the whole vehicle out. Well, anyway, for me, hard plastics and things like that are a selling point, because I prefer durability, simplicity, and I like things to hold up and be easily cleanable. Especially if you've ever had kids. You know, you got lots of things back here, like the back of the seat isn't, you know, highfalutin material here. Your kids kick it and get their shoes dirty. This is just vinyl, cleans up real easy. And these seats, of course, you know, if you have kids, these clean up really good. But most car people, car editors, you know, the expensive people who tell you what to buy, you know, who have lots of money because they think they know what they're talking about. You know, these are the things they tell you not to buy because they don't like them. But these are some of the reasons that I like them, because I'm a simple, stupid person, I guess. But these XJs have some nice features, even down to these grab handles. You know, if you're, you know, on a rise or something, or if you're off-road, sometimes you just want to swing yourself up in with a grab handle, and you know, that's handy. And it's something that a lot of people don't think about, and a lot of the small cars and cheap things don't have. But this was a relatively inexpensive SUV back in the day. You know, you could option them up just like you can anything else, but it's a nice little workable vehicle. You know, if I'm looking at keeping this thing, I'd be probably looking at keeping this Jeep XJ or my 1988 Suburban over there. But there's no point keeping both of them. They both need to do the same thing, and they're an overlapping vehicle, unlike my work truck that, you know, it has one task and nothing else can really haul that many tools well unless you pull a trailer. But you know, it's compact and hauls a ton of tools, so it hauls tools accessibly. You know, you can haul tools in an XJ, but you got to open doors and things to get to them. Quick unasked for rundown of why I prefer the XJs over maybe some other things. If you made it this far in the video, we appreciate you watching. We appreciate all of your input, comments, questions. We really appreciate subscriptions. Helps the channel grow. Any likes, comments, questions you have, leave them down there below. And as always, thanks for watching. Want to see a magic trick? Nothing up the sleeves. Wonderful. I don't sponsor Dr. Pepper, but it is cold and delicious.